Hello everyone, I am Charvali Sarnaik, and in this session we will learn about different parallel processing architectures. Let us start with an associative memory. Associative memory is accessed by data content rather than data address. So most of the memories we have seen so far is accessed by the help of address or with the help of location. But this associative memory is accessed by its content. So whenever word is read from associative memory, its content or a part of word is specified, and then all the words of memory which matches the content are marked for reading. So in this type of associative memory, we used with the help of, that is, we access the data with the help of content. Hence this associative memory is called as content addressable memory, and this type of memory is accessed simultaneously and in parallel on the basis of data content. In memory is capable of finding empty unused location to store the words. So in associative memory, the whole word or the whole data is correspond to each number of m bits register, that is, the data is corresponding to the 1 bit. Each data is corresponding to a bit. Next we will see in associative memory, to search a particular data in memory, data is read from certain address and compared. If the match is not found, the content of next address is accessed and compared. So basically in this associative memory, if we found the data in an associative memory that we want to search, and if that is found, then we will mark it as a 1 and we will mark it as a match. So if the data is not found in an associative memory, we will move on with an iteration until we get a match data. So this goes on until required data is found. The number of access depends on the location of data and efficiency of search algorithm, and this searching time can be reduced if data is searched based on its content. If the data is searched with its address or with its location, it will take much time. So if we search with the help of content, with the basis of content, then it will take reduce the searching time. So this is how the advantage of associative memory is, that is, it reduces the search time. Let us see the block diagram or an architecture of an associative memory. So as I said, associative memory is accessed by its content. So whenever word is read from associative memory, its content or a part of word is specified, and then all the words of memory which match the content are marked for reading. So 1 bit corresponds to each word of number of each word of memory, and there are 2 m bit register. One is called argument register and second is key bit registers. So there is argument register and key register. Argument register is marked as A and key register is marked as K. So now to read a word from argument register, a content or a part of word is specified in an argument register. So basically the argument register contains the data to be searched, that is, it contains a data. And to read a word from argument register, a content or a part of word is specified, that it is in an argument register. So basically there are 4 major parts, that is AR argument register, KR that is key register, associative memory array, and match register. In this associative memory, the data is present. In key register, there are the corresponding keys to be searched, and in an associative memory, there are bits of AR whose corresponding bits are 1 in key register. That will be compared with the corresponding bits of words in an associative memory. So the associative memory contains a multiple data in an memory, and we have to search the data which is present in an argument register. And next is a match register, which will show which data is matched and which data is not matched, that is, which data is found and which data is not found. So this is the architecture of an associative memory. Let us see in detail what is argument register and what is a key register and how it is stored and how the data is present. First is associative memory is argument register. So in argument register, it contains the word to be searched, and it has n bits, one bit for each data. Remember, in an argument register, it has one bit for each bit of each bit of word. So it will contains a word to be searched, that is, it contains a data. Next we have a key register. In key register, this specifies which part of argument word needs to be compared with words in memory. So if all the bits in register are 1, the entire word should be compared. Otherwise, only the bits having key bit set to 1 will be compared. So that it means if the data in all bits are registered in 1, then the entire word we will compare. And if the data is not all 1, then only the bits having k bit set to 1 will be compared. We will see this with the help of example in next slide. So this it only the part is it specifies the argument word needs to be compared with the words in memory. Next we have an associative memory array. It contains the words which are to be compared with the argument array. So with the help of the associative memory array, we will compare that with the data present in an argument register, and we will search for a data which we want to find out matching to the argument register in an associative memory array. Next we have a match register. So those bits of argument register whose corresponding bits are 1 in key register, they will be compared with the corresponding bits of words of associative memory, and if there is a match, it will marked in a matching register. So to find a working of a associative memory, and that is it has m bits. So basically in a match register, it will have an m bit, one bit corresponding to each word in a memory array. So after the matching process, the bits corresponding to the matching word is matched in a match register as set to 1. That is, if we found the data and it is matching to the argument register, we will mark 1 in a match register. And if the data is not found or it is not matching to the corresponding data, we will mark 0 in a match register. So these are the basic 4 parts of associative memory, that is argument register, key register, associative memory, and match register. And this is the working of associative memory. Next we will see what is thread, or let us see an example of associative memory array with the help of associative memory organization. So here we all know a key register provides the mask for choosing the particular field in A register. So the entire content of A register is compared if key register contains all 1. Otherwise only bit that have 1 in key register are compared. So if the compared data is matched, corresponding bits in match register we will set. So let us take an example that A stands for argument register, K stands for key register. Now A contains 101 as a data, and rest of all it is an address. So 101 is a data, we have to search it in an associative memory, and if 101 is present we will mark it as match, and if 101 is not present in an associative memory we will mark it as no match. So let us identify with this example. Now as I said, key register provides the mask for choosing the particular field in A register, and the entire content of A register is compared if key register content all 1. So here in this case in the key register there are all 1s. So we will compare that entire content of A register. That is, if key register if key register would have content 010, then we will not compare all the data in an A register. So if there are only 1, that is all 1 in key register, then only we will compare that data with a A register. So now in this case there are all 1. Now we will compare all the data of A register with the help with the memory associative memory. So we will find in associative memory. Now this associative memory contains word 1 and word 2. Now we will search in word 1 if the corresponding data is present or not. So in word 1 there is 1 0 0, and the in an argument register we have data 1 0 1. So 101 and 100 is not similar to each other, hence it is not matching, and we will mark no match in a match register. Let us take another word 2. It contains 101. Now the word 2 has 101 and it has there is similarity in an argument register data. So A also contains 101 and word 2 also contains 101. That is, A and 101 will have similar type of data. So we had received the data matching to the argument register. So we will mark it as a match in an match register. So this is how the associative memory organization is. As I said, A contains the data to be searched, K contains the keys corresponding to the data which we have to compare or not, and the associative memory contains the overall m bits of data, so that we have to compare it with A, that is argument register, and if the match is found we will write in an match register, and if it is not found we will write no match in an match register. So this is how the working of associative memory is. We, as I said, we in an associative memory we found the data with the help of content and not with the help of address and location. So with the help of content we are finding the data in an associative memory, and because we are using the content based data, that is, we call it as content address memory, this helps to reduce the searching time, which is major role in an other memory, and in this case with the help of content we are reducing the searching operations. So this is what the advantage of an associative memory, that we are reducing the search operations, we are reducing the searching time. Next we have the concept of thread. Now let us see what is thread. Thread is basically a independent to other units, and it is a basic unit of CPU utilization. A thread is a separate process with its own instructions and data. A thread has its own thread ID, a program counter, a register set, and a stack. So basic things are, it can share code section, data section, and other operating system resources such as open file and signals with other threads belonging to the same process. So this is the thread concept is. Now let us see what is multi-threading. Before going to the multi-threading, we all know what is multitasking. Multitasking is basically the thing where multiple tasks are performed simultaneously or concurrently. So at a time we can perform 4 tasks. That type is called as multitasking. So here in this case, in computer architecture, multi-threading is the ability of a CPU to provide multiple threads of execution concurrently. So here we will execute multiple threads simultaneously. That is, we will execute or perform multiple threads concurrently. This concept is called as multi-threading. Multi-threading is an interactive application that may allow a program to continue running even if part of it is blocked, thereby increasing responsiveness to the user. So in multi-threading, now suppose there are 4 threads running concurrently and one of the thread is blocked. So if one of the thread is blocked, other 3 threads will be in running. It will not cause any effect in these multi-threading concept. So if any of the thread is blocked, the remaining thread will be continually running. So that increasing responsiveness to the user. For multi-threading there are many models: many-to-one model, one-to-one model, many-to-many model, and these are the models which are used in multi-threading. Next we will see the latency hiding technique. Now in latency hiding technique we will see how the problem is resolved for latency, and how the data will be used in the less time or with the less errors, and what are the techniques to handle this latency error. So there are 4 basic latency hiding technique, that is prefetching technique, coherent cache technique, relaxing the memory consistency requirement, and using multiple contexts to hide latency. So these are the 4 latency hiding technique. Before moving to the latency hiding technique, let us see what is latency. So latency is generally, it is a delay between a user action and a web application response to that action, often referred to it in networking term as a total round trip time it takes for a data packet to travel. So basically latency is a delay between a user action and a web application. Latency is generally measured in a millisecond and it is unavailable due to the way network communicates with each other. It depends on several aspects of network and can vary if any of them are changed. So latency can depend on transmission medium, its propagation, its router, its storage delays. We will see what are the latency hiding techniques, which that is how we can reduce a delay between a user application and a web application. We can find out the techniques with the help of, and these techniques we can reduce the problem of latency. So there are 4 latency technique: prefetching technique, coherent cache technique, relaxing the memory consistency requirement, and using multiple contexts to hide the latency. So now let us see what all these 4 techniques means. Starting with the first technique, that is prefetching technique. To avoid the latency, the first hiding technique is prefetching technique. So in the prefetching technique, it brings instructions or data close to the processor before they are actually needed. That is, in a prefetching technique, it is either the prefetching technique is either software controlled or hardware controlled. So in software controlled prefetching, explicit prefetch instructions are issued for data that is known to be remote. And in hardware controlled prefetching, it is done through the use of long cache line to capitalize on spatial locality or through the use of instructions lookhead. And the long cache line introduces the problem of false sharing, whereas the instructions lookhead is limited by branches and or branch prediction accuracy. So when prefetching is used, issues of coherence must be addressed. For example, what should be done if a block is updated after it has been prefetched or before it has been used? So generally speaking, one of the 2 policies are adopted using the binding prefetch policy, that is, the fetch is assumed to have happened when the prefetch instruction is issued. In other words, it is the responsibility of a fetching process to ensure that no other processor will update the prefetched value before it is actually used. So this may require the use of lock if necessary. And another is using a non-binding prefetch policy, that is, the system cache coherence protocol will make sure to invalidate a prefetch value if it is updated prior to its use. So this is the prefetching technique we can use to lower down the latency issue. Next technique is coherent cache. So as we studied, example of maintaining coherent cache using Snoopy caches for burst based system and using directory based cache for general distribution memory machines, we have seen a major problem with the design of coherent cache is scalability. So scalability is a major problem of coherent cache, and the coherent cache is supported by an hardware to reduce cache misses. Next, we have relaxed memory consistency. Before moving to the another concept of relaxed memory consistency, I want to tell that there are 2 models: the sequential consistency model and a weak consistency model. And 2 other weak consistency models are processor consistency and release consistency. So under the sequential consistency model, there is a partial ordering of all read and writes by all processors which obey the problem ordering. Thus, the result of any execution appears as some interleaving of the operations of the individual processor, so as if executed on some multithreaded sequential machines. And most of the references to sequential consistency often attribute stronger condition in that they require a total ordering of all reads and writes. And under the weak consistency model, synchronization operators are not allowed to perform until all proceedings, that is load store operations, have completed. And similarly, no load store operations are allowed to perform until all preceding synchronization operations have been completed. And under processor consistency, write issues by the same processors are never seen out of order, but write by different processors may be observed in different order by different processors. So read operation following a write operation may bypass it, that is, to be observed by other processors are happening before the write. So this is the concept of under process consistency. And in under release consistency, remember, the under process consistency and under release consistency are the two types of weak consistency model. So in under release consistency, synchronization operations are classified into two categories, that is acquire and release. Now acquire, that is called as lock, and release, that is unlock. So there are two categories of synchronization operation, that is release consistency. It is acquire and release. So in that, load or store operations are not allowed to perform until all previous acquire operations have been performed. That is, if there are any previous lock operation, so until that all lock operations have been performed, we cannot move to the load and store operations. So that is, these operations are not allowed until all previous acquire operations have been performed. And in a release operation, the release operation is not allowed to perform until all previous load or store have been completed. So in addition, all acquire and release across all processors are guaranteed to be processor consistent. That is, release by same processors are never seen out of order, and acquire may bypass release of the same processor. Also, release of different processors may be seen in different order by different processor. So adapting a processor or release consistency protocol may likely reduce the idle time due to write misses, because a following read or acquire doesn't have to wait for a completion of the write. So using multiple contexts support to all the processors to switch from one context to another when long latency operation is encountered. So these are the latency hiding technique, that is to reduce travel time, or as we seen, latency is a delay between a user action and a web application. So to handle this latency, that is to handle this delay, we can use this technique like prefetching technique, coherent cache, relaxed memory consistency, and multiple contexts. So these are 4 latency hidden technique we have seen so far. We have came to this end of this session. Let us see what we have learned till now. We have seen what is associative memory, and that associative memory, we know it is also called as content addressable memory, because with the help of content we found the searching. So associative memory is called as content addressable memory. Next, we have seen how the organization of content addressable memory is done. It has 4 major types, that is argument memory register, key register, associative memory array, and matching register, that is match register. We know in argument register the data is kept. In a key register there is corresponding data which is to be compared, and in an associative memory array it contains the multiples of data that we will compare with an argument register. And in match register it contains the history, that is whether the data is matching or not matching, depends on zeros and ones. So this is how the associative memory organization is. We seen with an example also. Next, we have seen what is thread and what is multi-threading, and how the multi-threading is useful we have seen so far. Next, we have seen what is latency and latency hiding technique. We seen latency is nothing but the delay between user action and an web application, or we can say it is a round trip time to send a packet to travel. Next, we have seen a latency hiding technique, that is to reduce the latency or to reduce these delay. We have 4 major techniques, that is prefetching technique. Next, we have coherent cache technique. Next, we have relaxed memory array, and last we seen multiple contexts. So we have seen this in today's session. Thank you.